Betrayal. It is the only word that fits. In a single, devastating act of political and strategic treachery, Keir Starmer has plunged a dagger into the heart of the special relationship. This is not hyperbole. This is not a drill. This is the cold, hard, unforgivable reality of the United Kingdom in the year 2024. Downing Street has just confirmed the unthinkable: Britain has actively suspended vital, life-saving intelligence sharing with the United States. Let that sink in. The nation of Churchill and Thatcher has chosen to side with violent, armed drug cartels over the nation of Roosevelt and Reagan. The Five Eyes Alliance, a bond forged in the fires of the Second World War, born in the genius of Bletchley Park and cemented in the blood of our soldiers in every conflict since, has been unilaterally and contemptuously sabotaged by our own Prime Minister. He has ordered our listening posts, from GCHQ in Cheltenham to our silent assets across the globe, to go deaf. The signals data, the satellite imagery, the human intelligence reports painstakingly gathered over years, reports that could pinpoint a cartel submarine packed with poison, are now locked away. He has looked at our most important ally, an ally fighting a desperate war against the narco-terrorists flooding their country with death, and he has chosen to blind them. To help the enemy. The special relationship is not just on life support. Keir Starmer is standing by the bedside with a pillow in his hands, ready to extinguish it forever. And it forces every one of us to ask the most terrifying question of our lifetime: how long until the Five Eyes Alliance is just the Four Eyes, with Britain cast out into the wilderness, a pariah state, utterly alone and undefended in an increasingly hostile world? You will already be seeing the spin. The mainstream media, the ever-loyal mouthpieces of the establishment at the BBC and The Guardian, are frantically scrambling to paint this catastrophic act of self-harm as some kind of principled, moral victory. You will hear them use soothing, academic words like international law, due process, and human rights. They will tell you that Britain is taking a brave stand. They are lying to you. They are masters of deception, wrapping a story of profound national humiliation in the flag of moral superiority. They will bleat about proportionality and the sanctity of life, conveniently forgetting that the cartels declared war on civilization first. They will invoke the Geneva Conventions, a set of rules designed for uniformed soldiers of nation-states, and dishonestly apply it to ruthless criminal organizations who decapitate their rivals and dissolve their victims in acid. This isn't a simple policy disagreement. This is a calculated, deliberate, and malicious act of sabotage against our own national security and that of our most crucial partner on Earth. This is the first, overt shot in Keir Starmer's real, undeclared war, the war to methodically and systematically sever Britain from its Anglosphere allies, to isolate us, to make us weak, to make us poor, until we are so broken and desperate that we come crawling back to the European Union on our hands and knees, begging for forgiveness. The motive isn't a secret, it's an open conspiracy. His real audience isn't the British people, it's the cabal of unelected judges in Strasbourg and the grey-faced commissioners in Brussels. This is his loyalty test, a down payment on his future career as a celebrated bureaucrat. He is making us vulnerable by design. This is not statecraft. This is a controlled demolition of our nation's place in the world. They have the audacity to call it upholding the law. I call it what it is, treason. They call it a rupture. I call it a surrender of historic proportions. They want you to believe this is about protecting lives. But they are deliberately hiding the truth about whose lives they have chosen to value, and whose they have chosen to discard. And here we arrive at the rotten, maggot-infested core of it all. The brutal, sickening, two-tier system of justice that now defines Keir Starmer's Britain. A twisted moral universe where the lives and rights of foreign drug runners are now deemed more sacred than the security of the entire Western world. On one side of this divide, you have the narco-traffickers from the failed state of Venezuela. Picture them, loading up their semi-submersible narco-submarines with metric tons of cocaine and fentanyl, a chemical poison so potent it is killing hundreds of thousands of young people across America and is already finding its way onto our own streets. They are armed. They are violent. They are the foot soldiers of billion-dollar criminal empires that destabilize entire nations. The United States, under a strong and decisive leader, finally decided to treat this existential threat for what it is, an invasion. An act of war by non-state actors. They chose to create a deterrent that works. They sink the boats. They eliminate the threat at its source. It is harsh. It is brutal. And it is undeniably effective. The same logic Singapore uses to enforce the death penalty for trafficking. It sends a clear message: do not bring your poison here. But now, Sir Keir Starmer, the grand architect of this new surrender, the human rights lawyer who has never seen a foreign criminal he didn't want to defend, has intervened. He has issued a decree from on high. Great Britain will no longer provide the critical intelligence that helps our allies locate and intercept these boats. We will, in effect, act as the cartel's guardian angel. We will give them safe passage. We will protect their criminal enterprise. That is one tier. And then there is the other tier. Your tier. The tier of the British taxpayer, whose money funds this government of betrayal. Imagine a young signals officer in the Royal Navy, sitting in a dark room somewhere in the North Atlantic. On his screen, he sees a ghost, a narco-sub gliding silently towards the American coast. He has the data. He knows its course. A single encrypted message to his American counterparts would see it intercepted. But his orders, direct from Starmer's Downing Street, are to delete the file. To say nothing. To let it pass. He is being forced to be complicit in an act of war against our closest friend. For what? So a cartel foot soldier, who likely has more blood on his hands than a field surgeon, can claim human rights protection from a court thousands of miles away that has no jurisdiction and no legitimacy. Now think of a veteran in Hartlepool, a man who lost friends fighting shoulder to shoulder with U.S. Marines in the dust of Helmand Province, a bond sealed not with ink but with blood. He watches this news, this gut-wrenching betrayal, and sees that shared sacrifice being spat upon by a man who has never worn a uniform, never faced a bullet, and never understood the meaning of loyalty. They tell you this poison is an American problem. But the National Crime Agency is already warning us. The first waves of fentanyl are washing up in Manchester, in Glasgow, in Liverpool. The deaths are starting. And our Prime Minister has just given the suppliers a green light. Their lives do not matter in Starmer's globalist calculus. They are acceptable losses in his pathetic crusade to win applause at a United Nations cocktail party. We are living in a nightmare where our own government explicitly values the life of a foreign gangster over the life and security of its own people and its most steadfast allies. This is a devastating, unforgivable inversion of morality. It is a stain on our nation's honor. Let us be clear and call the villain of this piece by his name. Keir Starmer. This is not an anomaly. This is not an isolated error in judgment. This is a clear and undeniable pattern of behavior. It is a deliberate, strategic campaign to humiliate Great Britain on the world stage and to systematically annihilate our relationship with the one country we need above all others. Do you think this happened in a vacuum? Remember the Chagos Islands, our sovereign territory. A vital strategic military base, Diego Garcia, the West's unsinkable aircraft carrier in the Indian Ocean, our sentinel watching an expansionist China and a belligerent Iran. Starmer's government, in an act of breathtaking geopolitical vandalism, didn't just surrender it. They actively campaigned to give it away, siding with a UN resolution pushed by China's allies. They stabbed Washington in the back then, and they are twisting the knife now. Remember his defense review? A paper-thin document that spoke of cyber capabilities while gutting our troop numbers, mothballing our ships, and leaving our armed forces smaller than at any time since the Napoleonic Wars. This man who says he cannot find the ships to patrol the English Channel, who claims his hands are tied by international law from defending our own coastline from an invasion of illegal migrants, suddenly finds the iron will and the moral certainty to stand up to the entire United States Navy. The hypocrisy is so potent it could power a city. He is a coward masquerading as a statesman. A charlatan who promised to restore dignity to number 10 but has instead brought only shame and chaos. He is a puppet, and his strings are being pulled by the anti-democratic forces in Strasbourg and Brussels who have always resented British and American strength. He is auditioning for a top job in their new world order, and the price of his admission is the total sacrifice of British sovereignty and the final death of the special relationship. And who is the hero in this sordid drama? It is the very man the establishment and their media lackeys despise most. President Donald Trump. A leader who understands what a border is. A leader who is not afraid to use decisive force to protect his people from a clear and present danger. He is doing exactly what a Prime Minister of Great Britain should be doing, putting his own people and his nation's security first. He is waging a righteous war on the cartels. Keir Starmer is waging a treacherous war on our friends. But while the establishment cowers, one man has been speaking this truth for years. Nigel Farage. He warned this would happen. He warned that the Remainer establishment, led by Starmer, would stop at nothing to sabotage a sovereign Britain and drag us back into the EU's orbit. He was mocked. He was vilified. And he has been proven right, time and again. He, and the millions who stand with Reform UK, are the real opposition in this country now, the true voice of the British people who watched this disaster in quiet fury. This is the path he has chosen for us. A path that leads to isolation, to weakness, and to ultimate surrender. He is gambling with our national security, with the lives of our soldiers, with the stability of the world, all to score cheap political points with an internationalist elite that despises everything we stand for. He has made his choice with chilling clarity. He has sided with the cartels, with the activist lawyers, and with the Brussels bureaucrats who dream of a diminished Britain. He has turned his back on the United States, and in doing so, he has turned his back on the safety and security of the British people. Which leads every one of us to one, final, chilling question. When the next great crisis comes, and it will come. When the Chinese Politburo makes its move on Taiwan, and the global shipping lanes that feed us are choked off. When Putin, emboldened by Western weakness, decides to test NATO's resolve on its eastern flank, and America, remembering our treachery, is slow to answer the call, or perhaps doesn't answer at all, who will defend us then? The establishment is counting on your silence. They are banking on your apathy. They want you to forget this unforgivable act of national betrayal by tomorrow. Do not give them the satisfaction. This is not a request to simply share a video. This is a digital call to arms. Your comment is a protest. Your share is a flare of defiance in the dark. Every subscription to this channel builds our digital army, a network of patriots who refuse to be silenced. We must create a firestorm of outrage so immense that it cannot be ignored. Fill the comments section below and let them know precisely what you think of a prime minister who sides with criminals over our friends. Let every patriot in this nation send a single, unified message to the cowards in Downing Street: you have chosen your side, Sir Keir. And it is not ours. Subscribe, because our fight for the real Britain, the strong and proud Britain, has only just begun.